Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Battle Gamer, and we have the last of the F category for archetypes today. That means sometime next week, I'll be coming out with an updated tier list for all the archetypes I've done up until this point. And you might be asking, why do I even bother if I have to keep updating this tier list all the time? Well, considering the nearly 200 archetypes in the game currently, if I did it all in one video, it would be 5 hours. So, if you're interested in any particular archetype and my thoughts on it, you can go to that video and watch it and see what you want there. Or if you just want to see everything, then when I eventually release the Z category final archetype list until we get more, which we inevitably will, then you'll see everything there and in all my rankings. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about this next archetype. And before we get into that, this archetype comes from the Strength of Thousands adventure path. So, if you don't want any possible spoilers, which to be fair, I don't think this one is particularly spoilery in any sense, but still, if you don't want any possible spoilers, click off the video for now, or watch it knowing that this may spoil something for you. But this, in my opinion, does not offer much in the way of actual spoilers for at least the narrative of Strength of Thousands. Anyway, you've been warned. Today, we're talking about the Folklorist, and honestly, probably a really, really good archetype that sprouted, probably one of the best archetypes to sprout from an adventure path. And we'll get into the reasons why, but I like this one for a large variety of reasons. And the Folklorist is essentially a support role style archetype that allows you to buff a teammate and then later pretty much your whole team. And it comes with some good unique reactions, and it comes with a universal lore skill. So if any of that entices you, stick around because we're going to be talking about the Folklorist right now. So starting off with the dedication itself, all you need is to be trained in performance, which is super easy. And I will state as well, you don't not need performance for really anything that this archetype provides. So just the initial trained proficiency should be enough for you to get the most out of Folklorist anyways. So that's good to know. Though, actually, that's not 100% true, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. Anyway, so let's talk about the dedication itself. So the dedication itself gives you access to a unique action called Spin Tail. And what Spin Tail does is you designate a ally as the hero of your narrative and an enemy as the enemy or the villain of your narrative. And what happens is while you're spinning this tail, your ally gains a +1 status bonus to attack rolls and saving throws against the villain until the start of your next turn. This is a fantastic way to give a status bonus to attack to your allies without inherently being a spellcaster. If you're, say, playing a Thaumaturge or an Inventor and you are trying to do a more supporty kind of role, this is a really good archetype to take just for this action alone, because a +1 status bonus to attack rolls, not damage, but attack rolls, which is really good, and saving throws is potentially really, really good. Now, you can only do this once per 10 minutes. So essentially, you can only do this per one enemy per combat. So obviously, you're going to want to target the most powerful enemy in the combat. Not only that, but you need to spend an action to use Spin Tail, and then every round after that to continue the tail, you must essentially sustain it or spend an action continuing the tail, allowing your ally to keep getting the buffs and such. So this will be a action cost for all your future rounds, but if you're playing a more supporty character anyway, that might not be a big deal, and you still have 2 actions to do whatever you want to do on your combat round, and the benefits are really good and get better as the archetype continues. Obviously, if you were to stop spinning your tail, the benefits end, and you cannot start again for a whole another 10 minutes. Another thing I absolutely love, I forgot to mention earlier, it is for a maximum of 10 rounds or 1 minute. there will be almost no combats where you will not get through this whole thing, except for maybe the final boss battle of your game. So beyond that, it's really good. But one of the things I love about it is while you're spinning this tail, it actually does manifest minor crude illusions to spring up around you just to help illustrate your story. I love this kind of stuff because it just gives it so much flavor. And essentially, you're just telling a story and you're using illusions to kind of hype it up for people who would be watching. And it's a good little amount of flavor, and it's not much, but I just absolutely love it. And it makes this a really top tier archetype, in my opinion. So, beyond the dedication, the first feat that you pick up is Folktales lore. And one of the things about it is this is a universal lore skill. So, you can use this lore skill to roll recall knowledge on any kind of check, anything, any kind of recall knowledge check you can use this for, which makes it very powerful, on par with something like Bardic lore or even Lore Master lore. The extra benefit, and what I think makes this even better, is you also automatically, when you're using folktale lore specifically, get the effects of dubious knowledge as if you fail the check for whatever reason. So this is actually a 2-in-1 feat. You essentially get a universal lore skill, which is really, really good, and you get dubious knowledge as a part of folktale lore. Now, you don't get dubious knowledge for any other recall knowledge checks that you make, and you don't get the effects of dubious knowledge if you have a feat requirement that requires dubious knowledge. But regardless, for a universal lore skill, this is really good. Now, it is only trained, and in order to get it up to expert, you need to become legendary in performance, which is a late game thing. Essentially, at level 15, you can eventually become expert in folktale lore, though you do need to invest in your performance to do so. Is this worth it? I don't know, honestly, because the trained proficiency will be enough, essentially, levels 1 through 10, because in specific lore only gives you it reduces the DC by like 1, or it gives you a +2, you can say, to the check for a recall knowledge. It's very important that you understand that even though it's a trained proficiency, it's equivalent to an expert proficiency, which makes it pretty good up levels 1 through 10 for lower base checks, which are not normally that difficult anyway, unless you're coming across a lot of uncommon or rare creatures, which hopefully you're not, otherwise that'd be a very strange campaign. After that, it'll start falling off, and by level 15, you could boost it to expert, and that would make it pretty much good for the rest of the game. But that is a skill investment of what? Yeah, 3 skill increases to just get a decent recall knowledge at this point. I don't know if that's 100% worth it. It might be to you. I don't know. But just the base fee alone is really good. And like I said, it lasts like levels 1 through 10. And even after that, you can still make the checks and still have some pretty decent chance of succeeding. So this is something that I would definitely recommend as a feat, as it has recall knowledge is such a good skill and it's so underutilized sometimes in games. It can give you so many good benefits, and getting dubious knowledge on top of it allows you to, get at least something even if you fail, and that carries on for, like I said, after level 10. So even after level 10, all you have to do is parse out what's the correct information and what's not the correct information. So overall, Folktales lore is absolutely amazing and a really good feat. Narrative Conduit is surprisingly an amazing feat. Essentially, what it does is the same thing as the sorcerer feats, spell conduit. As long as you are spinning a tale for one of your allies, your ally can use you as the center point for range and cover for any spells that they cast. Meaning that if you are off position a little closer, your allies can even use your position to help, and all you have to be doing is spinning a tale every round. Another bonus to your action. Now, this only works for spells, so unfortunately, it's not good for like range attacks, which I kind of wish it added to range attacks as well, at least being able to eliminate cover, because I think that'd be really good. But this is an amazing feat to pick up. It just, the only thing I dislike is this motivates the folk folklorists, the folktale lorists. Yeah, no, the folklorist. That's I don't know why that's so hard to say. It motivates them to target spellcasters specifically, which can mean your marshals might get, left in the dust a little bit more often than not. It's not a problem a little bit later, but it's something I feel needed to be mentioned. Regardless, the effects are amazing and are really good, and this makes you an even better support, and all it costs you is one action per round. As long as you have a good sense of spacing on the battlefield, this is a really, really good feat. Rule of three, another banger of a feat. It's really good. Now, I will mention almost all these feats have the auditory tag, which isn't super relevant in some cases, but can be relevant in this case because essentially, and let me go ahead and read it here. So, rule three is a reaction, and it's a reaction that is not limited, so you can do this every round if you so choose. And the trigger is the villain of your tale makes an attack roll with a given weapon or unarmed attack, uses a particular special ability, or casts a spell against the hero, and they use the same attack, special ability, or spell against the hero on the previous turn. And the reaction doesn't mention who it's targeting, but I'm assuming it targets your ally. So if your ally cannot hear you for some reason, they do not get a benefit from this. So that's very important to know. But anyway, so the reaction allows you, if the enemy is using the same attack, special abilities, or spell every round, you can give your ally a +2 circumstance bonus to AC and or a saving throw against the triggering effect if it is a spell or similar type ability. Not only that, but if the enemy did it twice in a row, you can use this reaction again on the next round and up the bonus to +4. There's not many things in this game that give a +4 circumstance bonus to either AC or a saving throw in this case. Now, it does require that the enemy is using repeated actions against your ally. But as long as they're doing it just twice, just so you can get the first level of this, that's really good. And if it's the +4 version, I mean, +4 is huge. That's a massive increase. And again, this is a really good reaction, and you can use this every round as long as you're spinning a tale. If you're playing a class that does not have reactions or any good reactions, this is a really good pickup as far as feats are concerned, and absolutely is just one of the reasons why Folklorist is absolutely amazing, and everything gets better here with the next feat. Before we get into the next feat, though, I just want to remind you all that the channel is growing strong, and to keep things going, to make this, the channel that I hope will bring all you more tabletop and push the tabletop field in the future, I need you all to just hit that sub button or at least leave a like. That's all I'm requiring. And, it just helps the channel out greatly. And it's good to remind people we're on the fast track to hitting 3K sometime this summer. And I'm planning on hitting 5K or more by the end of this year. So if you can do that, I'd highly appreciate it. But let's get on to the last feat here for the Folklorist. So, last but not least is Communal Tale, and this makes Folklorist absolutely broken, and at level 10. It's not even that high. I mean, this is kind of like the mid-game for a lot of tables, but level 10 is really, really good, and this is a really good feat to pick up, especially if you're using the bonus archetype rule, which I recommend everyone does. And I mean, even Paizo recommends if you've read Treasure Vault and you watch my recent archetype videos for the artifact archetypes they've introduced into the game. So, but anyway, let's get on to Communal Tale. So Communal Tale allows you to, when you're spinning your tale, to select up to 6 non-minion, so unfortunately no animal companions, which is a little sad because I do like the narrative of giving bonuses to an ally and their animal companion, their faithful companion, but unfortunately non-minion allies as the hero of your tale. Each hero once during this tale can also continue the story using one of their actions to extend it for an additional round. This actually allows you to cooperatively as a team sustain this tale, which is really good. And this allows you to go beyond the 10 round limit that it normally has, up to a total of 16 rounds if you have 6 allies, which is a little hard, but if you're playing in a 7-man group, kudos to your GM. That's very impressive. Either way, even with a standard group size of 4, 14 rounds, I mean, even against the big bad is probably more than enough. So this is really good. You can also spin the tail normally yourself to continue on a round from your turn. And something you need to be aware of as well is that it's for the round. So if you let it pass by a whole round without anyone doing it, it will fall off. So just something you need to be aware of, and you can't start up again. But all those benefits we got before, the +1 stats bonus to attack rolls and saving throws, the reaction rule of 3, now can apply to up to 6 allies. And with the narrative conduit that I mentioned before, which is also really good, now you don't have to be stingy and giving it only to your spellcasters. You can give it to your whole team, still act as a narrative conduit, and still use your reactions for the allies that need it, giving them bonuses. This is a supremely good support style archetype, and one I definitely believe you shouldn't be overlooking. Now, this is a little rough for some classes to take, especially if your job is very action intensive. Obviously, something like a Magus would struggle with this, but a summoner who has Act Together, this is actually absolutely perfect for, as you already have a little baked in action economy boost just with Act Together alone. So that's, if you're playing a summoner, this is what I'd highly recommend, just because it'd be very easy for you to do it in tandem with anything else that you're doing. But that's going to be it for me. I don't believe there's anything else here. Nope. So it's a really good archetype. It promotes teamwork. It has good narrative flair with the illusions that it offers. It gives you a reaction. It gives you feats that I think classes require higher levels to get. I'm not sure about that, but I mean, there's just so much good stuff about the Folklorist that honestly, it's probably the best support archetype in the game. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I really hope that I really got across to you how good this archetype is. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.